And a very good afternoon to all our delegates. Doesn't look like we have any yet. There we go, coming online. So while we have people logging in, a good afternoon from Johannesburg. The name is Tony Perry from IITPSA. We are delighted to have you join us this afternoon. And I was going to say a very warm good afternoon, but I know some parts of the country are suffering a bit of a heat wave. So maybe I should say a very cool good afternoon to everybody, and maybe we'll feel a little better. But it's really good to have you join us today for our Blockchain Special Interest Group webinar hosted by our very own John Singh, who is one of our board members and the chairperson of the Blockchain Special Interest Group. So on behalf of the Institute of IT Professionals, welcome especially to John and to all the members who are busy logging in and visitors. We are truly delighted that you can join us. We are just killing a little bit of time whilst we allow the members to join, because I know it takes a minute or two for everybody to log in once we've gone to the live room. So Tony will kill a little bit of time and blab on while that happens, and John will wait patiently in the background. But maybe just to mention, as the Institute, not everyone who attends are members, and we would just invite you to join the Institute. If you go to www.iitpsa.org.za, lots of interesting stuff about the Institute. Joining the membership is purely online these days. We have a nice member self-service portal where you can register and start doing all the things a member would want to do, applying for membership, getting your membership certificate, registering for professional designation, recording your CPD, etc. So it's very good to have you with us this afternoon, and I think I'm going to hand over to John to take us forward for the presentation. As I said to him, and he's gone and used the abbreviation, so I'm going to spoil his thunder, non-fungible tokens. Most of us can't even pronounce that word, but John, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's obviously a very topical item at the moment, and over to you.
Thank you, Tony, for the very kind introduction, and good afternoon to the listeners. As Tony has said, the presentation for today is NFTs Beyond the Hype. And in this presentation, we will look at the precise definition of what an NFT is, both on a technical and also a social level. And we'll also look at what gives these NFTs value, because it is sometimes difficult to understand why they have such high valuations. And we'll also look at a small investor framework so that people can have a structured way of looking at these NFTs so they can choose ones that will give them value in the future. And lastly, I'll touch on a little about the NFTs that I have purchased. In 2018, when I went to Blockchain Africa, a very smart young man told me about CryptoKitties at one of the exhibitor booths at the conference. And to be honest, I didn't really get the concept then. And over the years, I've seen various references to NFTs and watched presentations and been on the markets, but still couldn't get it. But towards the end of last year, I started taking notice because of some of the values that were being associated with some of these NFTs, very expensive and very high priced. And as I went down this rabbit hole, I started to understand more and more. And so in this presentation, I will give you the benefit of what I have learned over the last few months, so that you too can also get a better understanding of what the NFT space is all about. So in terms of contents, we'll look at the NFT definition, which is both at a technical and social level. We look at a value proposition for NFTs just to understand where it gets their value from. We look at a small investor framework and some of the purchases that I have done. So NFT is one of those words which is quite complex, because it has quite a bit of meaning to it. So it stands for non-fungible token. So non-fungible means that it cannot be exchanged for another asset because it has unique properties. So NFTs are tokens on the blockchain that we can use to represent ownership of unique digital items. So this allows the tokenization of art, collectibles, and music. So technically, it's also a smart contract on the blockchain. So at the moment, Ethereum is one of the more popular blockchains, but there are other blockchains like Tezos, Solana, Binance Smart Chain, and so the NFT itself is technically a smart contract. And this smart contract has a link to a unique digital file, such as a picture, audio, or video. So if we look a little bit more closely at the concept of fungible versus non-fungible, so if we look at something like a 10 Rand or a 20 Rand note, you'll be quite happy to take that 10 Rand note and exchange it with another person who also has a 10 Rand note, because you're not losing any type of value or any form of utility by doing that. Same with a coin, or perhaps a bar of gold, or even Bitcoin or Ethereum, because they're completely interchangeable with each other. But if you look at something like an artwork or a house or guitar, for example, which has, in addition to its intrinsic value, it also has intangible value, and it also has unique properties that make it unique to that particular guitar, and those are not interchangeable with each other. You wouldn't exchange your house with someone else's houses and assume that it's going to be like for like in value. And the same goes to things like, skins in games, copyrights, trademarks. They cannot be easily interchanged, and that's where you get the concept of fungible and non-fungible from. So token itself is a smart contract on the blockchain, but the interesting thing about this smart contract is that it represents ownership of a digital asset, like a picture or a video or an audio, and it's very similar in concept to the title deed to a house or a logbook for a car, because that even though you drive in the car every day or you park it in your garage, the thing that gives you ownership rights is that logbook, or the title deed to your house gives you ownership rights to your house. And in the same way, a smart contract on the blockchain gives you ownership rights to this digital asset, which is the file, right? And that's the important part about having tokens on the blockchain. It's also immutable, and it gives you undeniable ownership because of the cryptographic properties of this smart contract. So that's on the technical side, but if we look a little bit more closely, for example, at a particular NFT that you would find on a platform like OpenSea.io. So this here on the screen is a Bored Ape, and it's part of the Bored Ape Yacht Club collection. And the value of these are quite high, ranging from 23 to 53 ETH to 45 ETH. And if we look a little bit more closely, for example, at the Bored Ape in the middle, which is ID 6754, we can see it has some traits associated with it. Okay, it has a wool turtleneck. Only 2% of apes have this trait. There's a gold hoop earring on his ear. Only 5% have this trait. Now, these traits or properties associated with the NFT gives it its rarity and value. And that's one of the important points about these NFTs, is that they have particular traits which give them rarity and give them their valuations. Also, each NFT has a unique token ID. So this one is 6754 and uniquely identifies this ape as an NFT. It also has a contract address to a smart contract on the blockchain. So smart contract itself is a ERC. Most of the time it's an ERC 721 contract, and it's a standardized methods and capabilities. So if we look at some of the methods associated with the smart contract, there's one in particular which it determines the token ID and the token URI. So the token URI gives you the exact location of this digital file on the storage mechanism. So remember, an NFT digital file is not stored on the blockchain itself because it's very expensive to store, digital files or data on the blockchain. So it's normally stored in a separate storage mechanism called, for example, IPFS or interplanetary file system. So, but the contract itself has the link to this digital file. The smart contract is standardized, and many contracts use the ERC 721 contract, which stands for Ethereum Request for Comment 721, right? So the important thing to know is that there are libraries that you can import into your smart contract, and this gives you the capabilities and the standardization associated with ERC 721. So Open Zeppelin provides these libraries that can be imported into the contract, and you can just change them and use them, and you already have a base to work on. So ERC 721 is a very important standard that's used in these NFT contracts. If we look at the technical stack, it's quite deep and wide when it comes to NFTs. There's layer 1 technologies, layer 2, there's markets, quite a large amount of activity going on in the space. So we're not going to go through all of them, but what I wanted to just touch on briefly is the layer 1 and layer 2 technologies. So layer 1 technologies refer to the blockchain technology used for the NFT. So there's various ones like Ethereum, Solana, Binance Smart Chain, Tezos. There's quite a few of them, but what they do is they house the smart contracts that are used for NFTs, and that's what their purpose are. They also provide the immutable properties of the blockchain, because they are basically blockchain layers. So above that is the layer 2 technologies like Polygon, Immutable, Ronin, Optimism, Efinity. So layer 2 technologies are playing an important role, especially in Ethereum, because what it allows is for cheaper gas fees, because these layer 2 technologies normally have roll-up technologies that allows transactions to be batched together and then submitted to the blockchain, which allows gas fees to be cheaper. Interestingly enough, the layer 2 technology Ronin was developed by the gaming corporation called Axie Infinity that runs the Axie Infinity game. So they created their own layer 2 technology to try and reduce the gas fees of their blockchain-based game. So when it comes to storage technology, as I mentioned before, the actual digital file being stored is not stored on the blockchain because of how expensive it is, but normally a storage technology like IPFS or interplanetary file system is used. And in IPFS, if you put a file into IPFS, you will get a hash that represents that file. So a hash is just a fixed length string that uniquely represents, a piece of data. And in addition to that, if you put a file into IPFS, it's normally split amongst different locations. So it's very difficult to actually try and steal this file or try to take it away from the rightful owner, because the actual storage is not known unless unless the software is actually controlling it, because it's split across so many different locations. So that's more on the technical side. So in terms of the value proposition of NFTs, what gives them value? Let's take a little closer look at that. So there's 5 aspects to it. The one is social signaling. Second is tokenization of culture. The next is utility, rarity, and ownership rights. So we will go through each of these in more detail. So in social signaling, this is very common in the physical world as well. So for example, if you see a person in a Rolls Royce Ghost valued at $450,000, you will know instantly that this is a person of wealth and status. And also, people also use the cars, the clothes they wear, the brands that they associate with to signal their status and also what they actually like and associate with in the world. So it's very common in the physical world. But since the pandemic has started, people are staying a lot more at home, and then they are now more interested in building digital identities. And this is where NFTs are becoming more important, because NFTs allow people, especially the super wealthy in crypto, to show, for example, their wealth and status, and also what brands and culture that they associate with. So, for example, crypto punks, they sell at quite high prices, like 4,200 ETH for Punk 3100. So if you see someone that has Punk 3100 as their image, you know instantly that they're a person of wealth and status in the world of crypto. And these kind of social signals are important. So it's a sophisticated way for people to show their wealth and status and also create social identity. And NFTs is the way to do it in the digital world at the moment. There's also a tokenization of culture. So NFTs are about communities of people with similar interest, sharing their passion and monetizing it. So CryptoPunks is the original with the most cultural history linked to libertarian thinking that is very strong in Bitcoin early adopters. So a lot of Bitcoin early adopters are very much into economic freedom, freedom from oppression and those kind of things. And they associate very strongly with this CryptoPunks brand, which is from the early days of Bitcoin. So NFTs also allow people to share their art and talent with no middlemen. So normally in terms of art and music, there's always a art gallery or a music label that's controlling the actual production of the art and also the payments associated with the sales of that. But with NFTs, it's all based on blockchain technology, which is decentralized. Creators can create and they can get the rewards from their creations because the technology allows them to do it without having a middleman controlling the strings. So people can create art, music, stories. They can co-create with the communities and create things that they wouldn't have imagined on their own. And that's one of the power of using NFT technology. Utility is also playing a bigger role in NFTs. It's not just about the art or culture anymore. People want some kind of benefits as well. So there's normally a few types of benefits. The one is access NFTs. So they give you, if you own an NFT, it gives you the right to, for example, attend parties that are just for that community, to, for example, meet people that are influential. And you can only meet them because you are associated with the community. So that's a kind of additional benefits that can be obtained from owning an NFT in certain communities. Then there's also the gamification of NFTs. So you see this a lot in fantasy sports, for example. So in fantasy sports leagues, you own an NFT that represents a certain player in the sports league. If that player performs as expected, you can get points or other NFTs in reward for your correct predictions, for example. Also, in certain games, if you perform well in the game, you can earn or receive NFTs as a reward for your for how well you have done in the game. Then lastly, there is also engagement NFT. So this is at a social level where it functions similar to something like an emoji, where you can use the NFT to show your emotions, for example, and you can also get rewards for using these NFTs as well. So one of the other important ways that NFTs get value is in that of rarity. Okay, so every NFT has unique traits associated with it, and even if it's in a collection, certain NFTs have unique traits that other NFTs don't have, and it's those unique traits that give it its value. And because these traits allow the owners to create social identity and branding. That's why you see such high valuations for certain CryptoPunks or certain Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs, because they have some unique trait that sets them apart from the other apes or CryptoPunks in the collection. So one of the last things we're going to talk about in terms of value is the ownership rights. So in NFTs, because it's a smart contract on the blockchain, it has this unique properties that only the person that owns the private key can own the token, and ownership can be cryptographically proven on the blockchain. So that's important because there's undeniable ownership. It doesn't matter if someone illegally tries to copy this picture or this piece of music that you cryptographically own, because you're the only person that can prove ownership of it, and that gives it immense value. So the smart contract also controls royalties from secondary sales, which guarantees ongoing income. So the digital property can be stolen, but the person or entity stealing it will suffer reputational damage because they can never prove that they actually own this actual NFT. So it's similar to, for example, the Mona Lisa, which there's only one Mona Lisa sitting in the Louvre, but over the years, there's been so many people that have taken pictures of it or created T-shirts or sent different versions of it on the internet, and these are all copies distributed all over, but there will only ever be one Mona Lisa sitting in the Louvre. And the whole concept of the NFT being a smart contract on the blockchain with cryptographic rights also gives you this the same ownership rights that the Mona Lisa has sitting there in the Louvre, and that's the important part about having an NFT on the blockchain. Yeah. I just wanted to touch on gaming as well, because it's becoming quite a important topic in NFT space, because games are becoming more and more popular. Okay, so there's different gaming models. There's play to earn, where people can earn money in game. There's gaming guilds which try and consolidate resources and help people that can't afford to own their own assets. There's tokenization in gaming. So we're going to just touch on this very briefly, because it's starting to become bigger in the NFT world as such. So one of the most popular games in the NFT space and blockchain world is Axie Infinity, which is a play to earn game. So there's various ways that you can earn money in the game. They have a token called SLP, or Smooth Love Potion. You can use Smooth Love Potion to breed Axies. Now, Axies are fantasy creatures that that you can use in game to do various tasks, and also to battle with other contestants. So you can breed them and then sell them, and you can earn SLP tokens, and that's one way of earning money. The other way is to actually own an Axie and then use it in game to compete with other players, and if you do well, then you can earn some SLP, or Smooth Love Potion, which has real world value as such, because you can exchange it for other forms of either crypto or fiat and earn a living. So in certain parts of the Philippines, for example, they have been able to successfully use Axie Infinity to actually provide income to whole villages. So these people are playing games, earning income, and it has worked for them. There's also the concept of gaming guilds. So these are large organizations of gamers that get together, and what they do is that they purchase NFT game assets because they're quite expensive. So you need a significant amount of resources to actually own some of these NFTs used in games. So they purchase them, and they have what's known as scholarship programs where they basically rent it out to people that can't afford these in-game NFT assets, and they rent it out to them. They can play the game, earn some money, and keep some of the income, and the guild also keeps a percentage. They also provide funding to other games so that they can either improve their game or to start it up and get it going. They have also sub DAOs. So a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. So what they do is that they create these sub DAOs that concentrate on just specific games, and they have people in different regions that belong to the DAO and just concentrate on a specific aspect of gaming, and they just control that. They also control other third-party DAOs. So it's quite a significant organization, and it brings together quite a bit of resources so that they can support the development of other games. They can support players that want to try and earn income from these play-to-earn games as well. When it comes to tokenization of games, it's very important in gaming because in the current state of affairs, if a player plays a game that's quite popular, they can actually purchase in-game items, like skins, weapons, potions, all kinds of things. But in the current state of affairs, they don't actually own these items in the real sense, because if the game dissolves or the owners can no longer support the game, they more than likely will lose the investment. But with an NFT, even if the game dissolves, you still own the NFT and you can use it in another game, for example. And that's now a new powerful concept in the world of gaming. There's also, you can also show demonstrable shortage because all these NFTs are on the blockchain. So you can see the unique properties, you can see how many times they've been bought and sold, and it all provides a history of how these NFT has been constructed and also this commercial use as well. There's also interoperability factors because you can use NFTs across multiple games. You're no longer tied to using this in just the game where it was originally developed, because it's all based on open standards. ERC 721, using the same blockchain, smart contracts, all standardized and interoperable across the blockchain kind of universe. Then there's also the immutability factor. So all the history and all the records of this NFT are stored on the blockchain and can be easily discovered and verified and authenticated, which makes it a very powerful concept in terms of tokenization. So let's move on to the interesting part, which is investor framework. So it's a very simple one, so we're just going to go through it quickly, and hopefully it will help to try and find your own NFTs as maybe in the future. So it's broken down into team, art, utility, importance, and community, and we'll go through each one of them. So in terms of team, it's very important to understand the people that are behind the NFT is not. It's not enough just to see a Twitter handle or someone's avatar advertising themselves as a team member. You have to go into the background and see what their past history is, whether they have experience executing these projects. Because remember, in the end, they have to be able to deliver on some form of artwork, some form of utility that will enable the community itself to grow and to get value from the purchase of the NFT. And the team can't execute, and they're not going to be able to create value over the lifetime of this NFT. So you also have to check if the owners have a big brand that they can utilize. That gives the project immediate advantage, because people with big brands that already have large followings can create quite a large amount of value just because of the sheer amount of followers that they have. They have to have track records in other businesses. It's not a guarantee of success, but having a background that you can check gives you some form of comfort that these team members will be able to execute on the vision. Because remember, currently in the NFT space, there are hundreds of these collections and projects being launched all the time. It's very difficult to understand which is the ones that are going to be still there in 5 to 6 years time. And one of the ways of establishing that is to look very closely at the team behind it and whether they have the ability and the experience to be able to execute on their vision. The other thing to look at is the art. So it's quite a silly thing to say, but it's true. You have to personally like the art, and it must appeal to you, because even if it doesn't go up in value, at least you will like looking at it and enjoy, the colors, or perhaps the vision and the idea behind the art. The art must also appeal to others, because remember, if you want to sell it at a later stage, it's important that it's appealing to others so that you can get a buyer for it. So the art must be of high quality, use of colors, imagination. So it can't be, just some scribbles on a digital pad. It has to be formulated by someone that has knowledge of colors and has good imagination, that's unique and has appeal to quite a number of people. Okay, and that will give you some kind of value even into the future. So what's becoming more important in the NFT space is this concept of utility. So what we're starting to see is that a lot of decentralized finance aspects are being included into NFTs as well, with things like staking and decentralized finance mechanics. So with staking, you can become part of the governance of the NFTs, and you can also earn tokens by staking your tokens in the project. You have Web3 integrations where you create partnerships with other games and brands. DAOs are also becoming important. These are decentralized autonomous organizations. So in DAOs, what happens is that the community actually starts running the projects. They have voting rights, they can participate in decisions. So it's not just the creator, it's the community and the creator working together to try and create value for this NFT. That's a very powerful aspect emerging at the moment. So if we look at utility, right? So you have this collection, right? And collectors purchase them, and for example, they pay Ether or some other kind of crypto. That revenue goes to the decentralized organization or DAO, and then this DAO can possibly profit share with the collectors. They can also do events, community drops, all kinds of other value adds that will benefit the collectors. So a famous example of this is the Bored Ape Yacht Club. They are doing very well, and they are a good example of how artwork, utility, and can come together to provide value to a community. So in terms of culture, the Bored Ape Yacht Club is a group of irresponsible traders that made so much money during crypto trading that now they spend all their days hanging around the yacht club dive bar. So very powerful culture in the crypto community, because literally there are people that made tons of money doing crypto trading, young, very rich people, and this kind of culture appeals to them. This having so much money, they can just spend their days sitting in the yacht club dive bar. And then in terms of community, there's a very strong community amongst Bored Apes. All apes must follow other apes on Twitter and other social media channels. So most of the holders of Bored Apes are really crypto savvy, and they will share advice with other people in the community. They share advice freely. You also have access to the yacht club, very cool events, chance of meeting celebrities. So very, very good benefits in terms of community. And you also have specific membership benefits, okay? So the Bored Ape Yacht Club has a companion NFT collection called the Bored Ape Kennel Club. So each owner of a Bored Ape was given a dog for free. So the value of the dogs at the moment is sitting at 10.5 ETH, which is a really good benefit to receive. There's also the Mutant Ape Yacht Club. So all Bored Apes are airdropped a mutant serum, which changes this ape to be a like a mutated version of it, a zombie-like version. So, and currently the cheapest serum, which is the M1 serum, is selling at 27 ETH. So very good value given to Bored Ape Club members just for free. In the future, we'll have ape festivals. So festivals open to holders of Bored Apes. A-list celebrities joining Bored Ape Yacht Club, release of the ape token, and opening of a physical clubhouse. So all these very cool things happening for Bored Ape Yacht Club. So community in NFTs are important. So community is got to be made up of people well-known, influential in the space. So if they are well-known and influential, they'll tell other people, community will grow. You got to learn about the community, interact on Twitter, make friends, find your NFTs through the community. Don't look in marketplaces and try to guess which NFT is going to give you value in the future. You got to work through communities, get to know them, understand them on Twitter, understand how NFTs work, understand who the people are that that actually know what's going on in the space, follow them and learn from them. So NFTs are about digital identity. So the community that you associate with will communicate your interests and passions, and also help you to find the right NFTs that will give you value in the future. So NFTs there's also importance and cultural significance. And early NFTs, or the first of its kind, have immense value. So this is true of CryptoPunks. This is also true in the real world, where first edition of comic books, stamps, coins, collectibles have huge value for being first edition. So you can have first editions at blockchain level, platform level, collection level. So if you can find one of these, then these will also provide value as an investor. So lastly, just to look at some tools that you can use. So there's Rarity Tools, which lists new NFTs that will be launched. There's Crypto Slam, so it gives you a cross-chain view of NFT volume and which blockchains are doing the most volume. NFT Scoring gives you upcoming NFT drops, communities, metrics, what's minting live. So that's the scan the blockchain and shows you what projects are minting as they happen. So all these little tools can help you get ahead of the game and see what's launching and how popular they are in the actual space itself. So for me, when I went to purchase an NFT, I followed some simple process, and I'm just going to run through it quickly. I'm not saying that this is the correct way to do it, but it's just the way that I use. So I firstly try to connect with the community, YouTube, Twitter, just to understand who the major influencers are, who the people are, understand what NFTs are, and how to establish which are the collections with value to them. So you have to engage with the community and learn how it all works. Okay, that's the first step. Then once you've done that, then you can have a better idea of what niche you want to get involved in. So there's various things. There's gaming, there's art, there's music, there's fashion, and you got to know what appeals to you and which you're most comfortable with. Because, for example, I mean, I find gaming and that concept to be very exciting, but I've never been a gamer, so I can't go and buy a gaming NFT now because I'm not a gamer. So I have to look elsewhere, because that niche is actually not really a good fit for me because I'm not a gamer, right? So once you got your niche, then you can try and understand what fair value of the NFTs in that niche is. Just look at the prices that people are selling the NFTs for. Most people advertise what they're selling it on Twitter. You can look at the marketplaces and get a good idea of what the fair value of these are, so that you're not paying too much for them. And then you can select a platform like OpenSea or Rarible or Foundation, and select your NFT, and importantly, buy at the floor. The floor is the lowest price in the collection, or either that, or be the first to mint an NFT in the collection. That ensures that you get this at a good price, and that will probably go up in value. You don't want to buy something that's already at a really high price, because it's difficult to find buyers. So the high prices can work, especially in big collections like CryptoPunks or Bored Apes, but those days I don't think are here to stay. You're not going to get these massive valuations anymore. You got to be a lot more smarter about how you choose your NFTs and what price you're buying them at. So I decided to buy NFT art, and the reason is because it's much easier to evaluate art than to try and work out the valuation of large collectibles or people with large brands that are trying to push their large collections to communities. So basically, artists will create some digital art either through traditional means or using computer generated generative art techniques, and they mint them on various markets like OpenSea, Object.com, Nuns, and FX Hash. So then buyers can go along and purchase them. The nice thing about this is that you can communicate directly with the artist on Twitter, learn about them, understand what drives them. It's also easy to determine fair value for the art, because it's easy to understand that if a person spends 8 hours a day for 3 days creating a piece of art, and it looks good, and if they're selling it for a price of $5, then instinctively that that's value for money, because if you're spending 8 hours a day on it for that amount of time, that's a fair chunk of time to spend on it, and it's a really cheap price to be buying it, for example, for $5 or less, and you can pick up art for that price on these platforms, because some of these platforms use blockchain technology that don't have high gas fees, and artists can sell it at that price. So in the end, these are some examples of work that I bought. I bought one from a Japanese artist called A. Mashiro. He's a generative art designer. So he uses a software to produce his art. Or what it does is it allows him to produce algorithms that produce shapes and colors in different formations that produce a quite pleasing visuals. And you can see that on the left there. This is a piece of work that he produced. I bought it for about $16. The listing price currently is $81. So this doesn't mean that I will be able to sell it for $81. It just means that it's listed for that. Getting a buyer that will pay that amount is another discussion altogether. But what it does say is that the value has gone up, and it should continue going up in the future. The other example of art I brought is one by Khalil Molana. He's a apocalypse kind of art designer. So he creates these brooding images of these kind of apocalyptic scenarios, biker and dark, forbidding building in the side there. So like quite interesting drawings. I bought one for $7. Current listing price is $64. So again, it looks like it's gone up in value. Doesn't mean that someone will buy it at that price, but you can see that in this kind of art space, you can get reasonable priced pieces, and you can make some form of profit on it. So it's not the huge amounts that you hear in the newspapers or being advertised by various people, but these are genuine artists, and they're trying to make a living, and they're doing good work by talented people. So I feel like it's good buy, and then I'm enjoying the process of selecting art, and I think it's worked quite well for me so far. So I'm not suggesting that anyone do the same. It's just an example of what I did in this particular NFT purchases. So that's more or less the end of the presentation. I hope it's helped people understand what NFTs are better. These are some of the references I use. So just a few places on YouTube and various articles I read, but also just interacting with people on Twitter, YouTube, just trying to understand better what this space is all about. So thank you very much, and I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Thank you, John. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. So we do have some questions on the chat group, but and some of them you may have answered. Excuse me, but it doesn't necessarily hurt to just go over them again and perhaps highlight some of the key points. How much time have we got? A few minutes, 10, 12 minutes or so, 14 minutes. John, a real ignorant question, and I do apologize, but I'm fascinated. Okay, I'm still trying to understand how people see value in this. I apologize, I'm probably quite thick and a little bit old, but is each non-fungible token unique? So in other words, it's not like a coin where you can get many of the same type. Are they unique?
Yeah, they have unique properties. So each of them, like for example, from the clothes they wear, or some aspect of them, like a hat or an earring, that gives it a unique property and valuation. Yeah, that stands for most, and they also have a unique ID associated with them. Even if they are part of a collection, they will have unique properties associated with them. Yeah.
Awesome. Gosh, I'm sorry, 1 second. Excuse me, my voice. Richard Nags from, I think it's from the Western Cape, if I'm not mistaken. Richard has got a few questions, and some of them may have been answered, but I think they're just useful to go back and look at. So his first question, and I'm going from the bottom up because I think it's only fair, in other words, the oldest to the newest. And his question says, this technology is moving very quickly. The move seems to be play to earn. How does this affect standard NFTs?
I think so. Obviously, play to earn is in the area of gaming, and in NFTs you have different communities and you have different niches. So gaming is its own niche. So the dynamics around play to earn, for example, don't really overlap into other areas like art or music, etc. Right? So I think whatever advances happen in gaming in terms of play to earn, it doesn't affect art or fashion, etc. But it has a impact on gaming itself, because it allows people now to earn some money for carrying out activities, in-game activities like battling with someone, or for example, solving some kind of puzzle in the game, and they can earn tokens from it. And I think it's a huge benefit, especially it's found, as I mentioned, for example, in the Philippines, there were communities that were able to earn like a basic income from playing these games and using the tokenomics associated with it to earn income. So, but I don't think it spills over to other areas. It's specific to gaming. It's a very specific gaming concept at this moment here.
Awesome, thank you, John, on that one. And then a question from, I hope I pronounce this correctly, Mtwidzeni Mabidi asks, and I think you did partially answer this, can I create my own NFT? If so, how? And how do I copyright it and market it?
Okay, so so there's a number of platforms you can use, like OpenSea. So OpenSea is, for example, one of the largest. So you need to create your picture or piece of music, and so normally like a JPEG file or MP4, whatever form of art you want to create it first. You go on. You need to get a wallet like MetaMask. Put some crypto into it, because there are some fees with creating on the platform. So once you have your wallet, you can get onto the marketplace, OpenSea.io, connect with your wallet, create a profile, and then you can create your collection, and you pay once of initialization fee, and you then can upload your JPEG, MP4 file, audio, etc. Put some unique properties. Say, for example, you did some art and it's got a particular hairstyle or some form of earring or clothing on it, and you can put that as a unique property of that NFT, and you can publish it, and then you can put it up for sale either through an auction mechanism or lowest bidder kind of. So there's various mechanisms on those marketplaces that allow you to sell it, and if someone buys it, you will receive the income in your wallet as crypto. You can also specify in your smart contract that you want royalties from secondary sales. So if the person you sold it to then sells it on to someone else, you can also receive a little bit of a fee for their secondary sale as well. And in terms of marketing, a lot of people that create NFTs use the normal social media channels like Twitter. For example, Twitter is quite popular, so Discord channels. So what they do is they connect with other like-minded people, and they just through normal social media, interactions. They like each other's posts, they retweet each other's posts, they build a community around themselves, and then they start advertising what they're creating, right? And they send out links to their works, and it normally people support each other, especially in the art community. They support each other, and you get sales like that. But it doesn't mean that you're going to get a full-time income from it. It's quite complex to build communities and to get enough followers, but you can definitely earn some form of income if you follow these simple guidelines. Yeah.
You mean we can't all go and sit in a dive bar at the yacht club? Oh no! Now you tell me.
No.
Richard's obviously very into this because he's got quite a few questions, and I would like to share them, because I suspect many of us are asking ourselves these questions at the back of our minds. So his next question is, how do you protect against forgeries? Now, if it's got a unique property, can it be forged? That's me adding on, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, surprisingly enough, okay, so you can forge it. I mean, if you take, for example, a picture or NFT that's the picture, if you go to the marketplace, you can right-click on it and get a copy of the picture, store it on your hard drive. So the question is, if anyone can do that, So what's the point of all these cryptography and tokens and NFTs? And the point is that it's very much like the title deed to your house, right? So you have this title deed that represents ownership of your house, but it's not the house itself. But without that title deed, even if you're living in there and you pay all the bills, etc., that doesn't prove that you own the house. Only if you own the title deed do you own the house. So it's a similar concept in this tokenization of digital assets, is that the contract on the blockchain is your ownership of that digital asset, right? And as long as you own the private keys that determine the ownership of that asset, then you are the owner. It doesn't matter how many copies or how many people try to steal it, or they right click and they download the copy of it. You can prove cryptographically and undeniably that you own that digital piece of work. And it's actually quite a important concept in the human psyche as well, because people actually do at some level respect ownership and the ability to prove it. No one wants to be that person that stole it and then gets caught and kind of like blacklisted everywhere. They even big brands that may steal some intellectual property, if they get caught, they don't want to suffer that reputational damage. And a lot of people don't want to suffer reputational damage because they're using things that they don't own and can't prove that they own. So it's quite a powerful concept, and that's why NFTs are becoming popular, because of that cryptographic ownership, that undeniable ownership of this piece of digital of art or music or something like that. Yeah.
Thank you, John. We are running out of time, and I'm going to apologize to Richard because he's asked a lot of questions, which we aren't unfortunately going to get to. And maybe, John, with your permission, I could possibly put Richard in touch with you offline. But a couple of others that we can perhaps get through in the 3 or 4 minutes that are left, just to give some other people some airtime, is one from Tafatswa, who asks, could you comment on some of the issues linked to NFTs regarding environmental impact and susceptibility to speculation and manipulation by special interests outside of regulation? Holy schmuck. Did you get that, John?
Yeah, I got that, yeah. Yes.
It'll have to be the 2-minute answer.
Yes. So in terms of environmental impact, obviously the underlying blockchains do have concerns, especially when it comes to proof of work to actually produce their consensus mechanisms. But Ethereum is changing to proof of stake. A lot of the other blockchains used for NFTs do use proof of stake. So environmental impact is lessening all the time, and I think it will continue to improve in terms of the amount of energy that these blockchains use to do their work. And so when it comes to speculation, etc., yes, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going, especially in terms of pump and dump, where famous people will try and push up the price of NFTs, and then basically they all just leave and the price dumps and people are out of pocket, because they initially thought it was a very good in terms of value of purchasing the NFT. So there's a lot of that going along, but to avoid that, you really do have to understand the communities that you're working with. Just get to know people that are involved in the collection and make sure that it's it's not one of these elaborate scam pump and dump kind of things. So that's probably the best answer I can give you.
Thanks, John. And we are running out of time. I'm going to see if we can get through 2 more. I particularly like, well, both of them. So from Hakuna Ndoro, not Hakuna Matata, sorry, Hakuna, you can shout at me afterwards. What is the relationship of metaverse popularity and NFTs popularity?
Yeah.
Is there a relationship?
I mean, NFTs is a start of people being able to to really use their digital identity in the digital world. So they're able to show their wealth, status, culture, etc., and also to do things that are of value in the digital world. So the metaverse is now the next step in the journey where you have a whole bunch of interoperable and open blockchains where you can use your digital identity and your NFTs to actually move amongst them and do various things. But again, metaverse is a concept that's still being defined. But essentially, it's about being able to use your digital identity in a digital world seamlessly and interoperating between various different blockchains and areas. You can do gaming, you can do fashion, you can do music, all with the same digital identity. And I think that's the big idea around it. So NFTs will form an important part of this metaverse because that's the thing that will enable your digital identity.
Thanks, John. We are out of time. I know people are going to want to start bailing off, but I really want to ask this last question. I think it's a good one to end off on. And my apologies to those who've asked questions on the chat and we just can't get to them. If you particularly want your question to be answered by John, please send it to me and I'll pass it on to John. Just CEO@IITPSA.org.nz. I'll put it up in the chat in a minute. John, there's a question from Anselm, which I think we should round off with and end off on. And he says he is from South Africa, Java developer. He would like to ask if the current fluctuations on ETH and other cryptocurrencies do affect the prices of NFT. In the short term, is now the right time to purchase? And that's probably the $1 million question.
Yes, it does affect the valuation, and you are right. It's the right time to purchase when the price of ETH is way down, because obviously with the exchange rate, you can actually get it NFTs for really good prices. It doesn't mean that your NFT is going to go up in value. That depends on other aspects of the community, the value that they're going to give you in the future. But definitely now is the right time when we're in a crypto bear market as such.
Try that again. Thank you, John. Can you hear me? My goodness, my voice. I'm so sorry. So, John, that was really good. Thank you. And I mean, some really, really good questions. Richard, Anselm, Makuna, all the guys, thank you so much for that. I do very quickly want to send a shout out to some of our long-standing members who I've seen on the attendance list today who've been with us, and I hope I'm not breaking popular rules or anything else in so doing, just to acknowledge them. So there's Richard, who's asked questions, Prof. Andre Karlitz, Jason Jordan, Peter Aspinall, thanks Peter for joining us, Saba Rahimi, Stefano Galata from the UK, Paul Lawrence, Jitu Dyer, Alan Franks. And if I've missed any, apologize profusely. John from IITPSA to you, Blockchain SIG, thank you so much. This is obviously a very interesting conversation, and maybe we need to do a follow-up on it a bit later on in the year. We can get some more ideas from the folk. I've put my email address on the chat, so if you've got additional questions you would like to direct to John, or if your question wasn't answered, please send it to me and I'll pass it on to him. But I think it's time to close now. We did say until past, we are a few minutes over, 2 minutes over to be exact. So to all of you, thank you for joining us. We wish you a really good Tuesday evening. If you're elsewhere in the world, a good whatever it is at your time of day. John, thanks a mil, and we'll catch you on the next time.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Cheers all.